You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello and welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rolinson and I'm joined this afternoon by James Rushton. James, how are you, mate?
All good. Tired after transfer deadline day, as I'm sure you are, and everyone else who stopped up late hoping Villa would make a deal, but nothing happened. So yeah, all good. Looking forward to the season. Now it's officially beginning.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Ash last night on a Facebook Live, so it hasn't gone out on the podcast feed yet, so I'll kind of interweave bits of Ash throughout this chat as well. But we did that Facebook Live at 10 o'clock last night, and we said, look, Villa aren't going to sign anybody now. Let's just do it now. Do 15 minutes and have a quick chat about how we assess it. And we went, pressed live, and the first comment comes in literally 10 seconds in and said, why haven't we signed anyone? So I just said to Ash, look, Ash, why haven't we signed anyone today? Fans are craving another midfielder. That's what we all wanted. So I'll ask you the same question I asked him. Why didn't we sign anyone last night?
I mean, if you were happy with like a Jordan Barry or a Brett Holman coming in on deadline day, or I forgot half the people who've come in for Villa on deadline day. Simon Dawkins, you know, if you wanted that calibre of player, the type of player who's probably available for cheap and to fill holes in the squad, then that player would have come in. But Villa are looking probably for better things. I think the key thing is a midfielder, but you need an upgrade on Nakamba and Louise, who, let's be honest, on their day can be fairly decent in the Premier League, and not on their day maybe an average 6 out of 10. You need an upgrade on that. You need an 8 or 9, and that costs a lot of money, and it might not be available. So if the guy ain't available, you're not going to be able to get him. The people who are available, Villa have bought him in the past, and they haven't had anything from them bar, Tyrone Mings, who, shone for us after joining in on deadline day. So, history goes with this decision for Aston Villa, I think, even though it might be a tough one to swallow right now, Dan.
Dean Smith's comments last week, spoke to him directly to him. I said, are you all done? Can you expect any more? Because a couple may come out, but I'm happy with my squad, and he's going to live and die by that. He's backing his team. I know Villa fans, myself included, you want new players in, new, need. You want Anguissa, you want Bissouma, you want everyone.
But do we need a holding midfielder? Everyone's saying we need a holding midfielder. It's crying out. We need a CDM. We lack height, like Lee just said there. We need a CDM. But
look
Villa and the scouting staff say we don't need a CDM. Do we have to just trust that they know what they're doing? And like you said, I think it was you anyway after our last game. If Nakamba doesn't start in a midfield crisis, it shows that Smith doesn't really want to play a holding midfielder. So we're not going to go and sign one for 50 million.
Well, Ashley Young played there last week at the weekend, didn't he? So crazy, but yeah, listen, he's happy with his squad. He wants to play the youngsters, can't he? He impressed him the other day. It's a great belief from that. 60 minutes against Brentford in the Premier League. 17-year-old kid. There aren't many 17-year-olds doing that, Dan. So he's going to come on leaps and bounds. He's going to turn 18 in October. He's going to get a new deal. So the new deal for Carney will be there. That's one that will come in October. Jacob Ramsey, I thought he was great against Newcastle, Dan. 20-year-old now. He's big chance. Players to come back. McGinn to come back. I thought he started the season okay. Morgan Sanson played tonight. I just watched him tonight, and he's a £15 million player. Villa don't want to give up on yet. So yeah, Nakamba as well. He's not going away with Zimbabwe. He's staying to be a part of in contention for Chelsea. So he's not doing a Buendia or Martinez. He's staying. He's fighting for his place. And yeah, I know midfield's a touchy subject at the minute, but it's 4 points from possible 9. I think we're going to see what Villa are all about against the Chelsea and Man U's coming up. Proof will be in the pudding then. And if Villa fall short, Smith will have questions to answer. Why don't you bolster the squad in the window? Yeah. If they do well, questions aren't going to be there, are they?
Also, the flip side of that, I did a lot of video yesterday for the other clubs in the Midlands for coverage via work, and there was a conversation on our Wolves show about Traore and Neves, and saying, well, look, clubs aren't going to come in for them today because Wolves won't sell them on the last day of the season when they're important parts of the side. And like you said, if we've got to go and improve on Douglas Luiz and have to sign a 9 out of 10 midfielder that is a James Ward-Prowse-esque type player to their club, so pivotal, a captain or somebody of that importance, they're not going to let them go on deadline day. Our targets were seemingly Emile Smith-Rowe and James Ward-Prowse, and we couldn't get them. Villa aren't the kind of club to go, well, Will Hughes is kind of the same. He's similar. He'll be cheaper. Let's get him for the sake of it. They couldn't get their number one target. So they move on to another transfer window with what they've got, and like Ash said many times, Dean Smith and the coaching staff will live and die by that decision. If we're bottom at Christmas, questions will be asked.
To be honest, with the names, and I know it's not the positions, but the names that Villa have brought in, you've got Danny Ings, Leon Bailey, Buendia, and Buendia alone was a jaw-dropping one, to be honest, in the context of it. But Danny Ings, out of nowhere, massive signing that is. That's a guy who was going to City or Spurs, and he's at Villa. So you know what, the name's Ashley Young. The type of players you brought in it's one of the biggest transfer windows Villa have ever had. You look at the signings they've made, 3 of their biggest ever buys, Dan, in one window. And I know it's because Mr. Villa, Jack Grealish, has gone and left that £100 million hole in the side. But you can't argue with what they've done to replace the main issue in the squad.
People say with Grealish going, we've spent nothing.
Well, we haven't
spent nothing now, have we? We've spent 90 million.
Yeah, and there's more costs than you can imagine than is reported with signing these players. There's agent fees, the wages. We don't know what these players could be on massive money that Aston Villa hasn't spent in the past. So, you know, that I feel like they've bought well. It's just it hasn't been the 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, or even 8 out of 10 window that everyone thought it would be. But I think Villa have had to react. There's a market here where Villa aren't the big guys. You know, you can see it, what Man United did. That's what they're a club. You can still see what Arsenal did. And I know there was a laugh about Ramsdale. Villa just don't have that power right now. They might do. They might save the kind of spending power that Jack Grealish unlocked till next window, to January. We don't really know. But, you know, you can see where Villa sit in the pecking order, and they're trying to get there slowly. It's not going to happen in one transfer window. We have to see in January, in summer. You know, January, they could be waiting until January to make some moves. We don't know. What we have to say is we've only played 3 games, and our fear of Villa's the weak spot is a perception. We don't really know because we haven't seen a full strength Villa. And
people are saying we needed a DM, we needed some height, we needed that midfielder. That's the missing piece of the jigsaw that would have got us in there. It's very kind of a binary prediction that people have, where they go, if this one player guarantees that position. First of all, it doesn't work like that, as we all know. And the flip side of that is going, we haven't got that midfielder, so we're going to be relegated this year. So it doesn't work like that either. We've got to have a bit of patience. We haven't played our full strength side yet. We've seen 20 minutes of Leon Bailey, a 30 million signing, who will change the game. Buendia has been match fit for arguably 1 game, and he scored. What more could you want? Danny Ings has scored 2 and 3. Whether the balance is right in midfield, we're all just speculating at this point. And as you've mentioned with January, we saw Morgan Sanson last year in advance of the summer window. There's no reason to suggest that Villa wouldn't do something similar this January and sign someone kind of ahead of schedule in preparation for next season. So it's all if buts and maybes at this point. But would you class it as a missed opportunity that they didn't just go out there on a Calvin Phillips or someone and went to Leeds? Here's 70 million. We want your best midfielder.
I've got to emulate Matt Kendrick here. So apologies in advance for the wounded analogy and the torturous metaphor. But if you want cereal and you need cereal in your cupboard, and you walk into a shop and they don't have the cereal you're looking for, or even like the alternative, and they've just got like, you can smash a few bricks outside and put it in milk if you want, you aren't going to take that though, are you? Like, if you want James Ward-Prowse and James Ward-Prowse isn't available to you, and there's no kind of second option, you're not going to just buy, are you? Like, the names were floated around yesterday. Jan Gisa, I'd have really liked him. He went to Napoli in the end on loan, and he's extended his contract at Fulham, so you don't even know what it works out in the end, especially with the way Italian clubs do transfer deals. But he was in the side Villa beat twice last season, and last season Villa still had the problems of physicality in midfield, and they finished all right, didn't they? In the end, they brought Morgan Sanson in. Morgan Sanson, by the way, who's played 294 minutes of football for Aston Villa. To put that into perspective, if Danny Ings plays 20 minutes of the next game against Chelsea, he's played more football in a Villa shirt than Morgan Sanson, which is incredible. You know, I'm not saying Sanson's going to come in and be the midfield saviour, but at the end of the day, Villa played their 5th choice midfield setup against Brentford, and Brentford couldn't break it down. Like, to me, we've got a perception of a problem, and I really agree that it could be a problem, but it's a could, not is a problem, because we've got to see a full strength Villa before we start ringing alarm bells, because we actually haven't seen a full strength Villa.
Gilbert leaving was probably the most noticeable one yesterday on deadline day. I spoke to Ash about this as well. And the first response that we had was people saying, well, who's going to be back at right back now? And I was thinking, well, of all the places that we've got cover for, yeah, they're not an out right back, but Conser had Project Restart games there last season. Twanzebe can play there. Even Ashley Young can play right back as well. So of all the positions I'll be concerned about, backup right back is the least of them. Any thoughts from you on Gilbert?
I know he's a senior player, so you can't recall him until January to register him. But he's a player I've always kind of liked, and that's because of his energy and his aggression. And those might not be things that kind of fit in with Aston Villa, because I think the aggression in a tackle can often hint that you're out of position in the first place. And I've not got reels and reels of footage of Gilbert in front of me, but Villa have, and they made a decision. And look, we don't know that he didn't go to Dean Smith and go, right, I want to play 30 games of football this season. And you're not going to get that, because Matty Cash has been, he's had some poor games, but for the most part, been very decent and with a lot of potential. Aston Villa, he's been someone who's an ever-present part of the squad. He's not moving from that position unless he has a stinker. And we haven't seen Matty Cash probably put in the performance of like a Matt Target against Watford. So the question mark isn't there. The question mark, of course, is if he's injured. If he is injured, and touch wood he isn't, because really would like to see Matty Cash play the 38 full games this season. You've got Ezri Konsa. You've got, if his injury's fine, you got Axel Twanzebe, Ashley Young, and you can, because Kane Kessler-Hayden is not a senior player, he's under 21, you can recall him and he can play. Depending on the deal with Swindon where he's playing, he can come back in and play. As far as I know, I don't think that is wrong that he can come back, but that's your emergency option. Even in January, you can recall Gilbert. So you've got 17 games until he can potentially come back. You've got 17 games where, not even half the season, where Matty Cash can play and hopefully not get injured before you go to Konsa. You'd have to go through 4 right backs. The chances of that happening in 17 games are slim to none. Like, you would have to have prioritised one of your strongest positions over every part of the squad to prepare for that, and clearly Villa are very comfortable. There's question marks elsewhere, but I feel right back, you don't know that Gilbert wanted to go and play, and people say the treatment of him might have been poor, but I don't see that. I see that it's a hard position for him to get in. Villa are very comfortable about the pathway. They've got a utility man in Twanzebe who can fill in a lot of positions, and they got a guy who wants to play football in Gilbert. What do? You send him out on loan, and he succeeds, hopefully. Maybe it's a question next season. Is he going to be better than Matty Cash? We don't know, but we're only going to know if he succeeds on this loan, not if he stays on the bench, even on the bench for Villa. We won't know.
I think Freddie's a good guy. He had a good season.
Yeah, good Villa tackle.
Yeah, and but clearly not fancied. On the ball. Obviously, Matty Cash coming for 40 million quid, and yeah, he's gone to Strasbourg. I think he said that this period was a bit unsettling with the offers I got at the last minute, but Strasbourg was my choice. So mag that out what you will. But yeah, options at right back. I think Smith's happy to go with Young if needed to fill in at right back. Twanzebe can play there, and obviously contemplate there in Project Restart if needed. So yeah, I'm not really concerned. I think Cash needs to up his game a little bit. He's not a guaranteed starter by any means, but if his forms his dip, I think Young might slot in there or Twanzebe. So it's, you got to keep your shirt. So it's Cash's at the moment, and who knows, there could be a change there in the coming weeks. But yeah, Gilbert leaves. He's got another year on his deal though, Dan. So his deal at Villa runs out in 2023. So once his loan at Strasbourg finishes, they've got another year. What to do? Similar to kind of Horan situation. Obviously, he's on loan to Sheffield United now. His contract expires this next summer coming. So he's already waved his goodbyes. And I think Gilbert, Villa will hopefully get a fee for him next summer and then wish him well. But yeah, he's gone. Interesting loan move for Mungo Bridge, obviously. FC NSC, third division in France. I've seen a lot of Mungo Bridge, a 20-year-old. He's a bit of a flamboyant centre-half. He's not your usual kick-it and edit merchant. He's very nice on the eye. Bit of a Rolls-Royce kind of centre-half. Good on the ball. Likes a long diag. So I think European football quite suits him. Nice little move for him to the French third tier, and hopefully gets a career out of it, because obviously his contract's up in 2022 as well. So that's probably hints at his exit as well. Good luck to him. And Don Revan as well, influential figure. He's gone from Weymouth to Northampton now. So League 2 Northampton, good level for him.
people are saying like right off Europe, forget about it. It's not going to happen this year. First of all, do you agree with that assessment 3 games in to say forget about it? Or do you seriously think that that is a step too far for Villa this season and expectations should be limited a little bit?
I think Tyrone Mings summed up last week, didn't he? He was quite a telling comment that was. He said, I don't know what the direct quote was, but he said, I think he'd probably take 10th or 9th this season as long as it, progressive one, to finish better than last season. He said that would be a success. Obviously, we've heard from Purslow, missing out on Champions League last season did hurt a little bit. Europe last season because it was there in the bag to get. Obviously, the injury happened to Grealish and whatnot. But Europe, it seems a bit of a pipe dream at the moment. To get in that top 6, big ask for me. I'd probably take an 8th, 9th. I'd take that this season. I just want to see progress on the pitch. I want to see better than last season. I've got a better squad now. Players are coming in. Ings is 2 in 3. Like you say, it's been so disruptive. Yeah, they're going to aim for Europe. They're going to aim for the stars. Obviously, that's what players are coming out with. That's their common goal. McGinn, Konsa, Smith, they've all spoken about Europe this, Europe that. And if you don't aim for something, then you're never going to get there. So that's always going to be on the dressing room, the table, and whatnot. They're going to be fighting for points every week and try and better last season's point total. Well, if they get 10 more points than last season, they're on for it, aren't they? I think they'll be aiming for that. So is it 54 points last season, was it? Get close to 60, 65 this season. You're looking good, aren't you? So we'll see. A lot needs to happen. I think Leon Bailey's going to be so pivotal to this season. Getting fit and firing. I think he's going to be a special player. There's a lot of excitement there. The bench is looking good. Ramsey started well. McGinn's fitter than he's ever been. And yeah, we'll get there. I'm sure we will.
Right now, I feel like it'll be a tough ask for Villa to qualify for Europe. I feel that there's a lot of consolidation, a lot of gelling, a new squad that essentially needs to find a way to perform together and be coached. And there's been disrupted pre-season coaching moves. Villa are doing different things, trying different ideas with the layout of the squad, with the players they're bringing through for the first time. You know, I can't think of a situation where so many academy players have had a pathway, you know, to play for Villa's senior side. So I think it'll be a tough ask. But if you were to tell me right now that we finished 10th or 9th with this squad, that's without Jack Grealish that we've improved. And I feel there can be no better stamp of approval than that. And even if you finish 12th, 13th, and you have a good enough season, I know people might say, where's your ambition? My ambition is still there, but you know, I'm just blessed to be going back to Villa, seeing everyone singing, having a good time, and we're not so focused on picking apart these lineups and picking apart everything about a new look Aston Villa side, one that has still a lot to prove. We'll have to see, but I still think we can. But it will take a lot from this side, and they might not have that much to give. But look, if you have a good January transfer window, if you have a good summer transfer window, if you can keep your side together and keep pushing, and these young players keep improving, the sky's the limit. And you've lost one of the best players who's ever played for the club, and you are still achieving that. So plenty to be, you know, appreciative of, and plenty to look forward to. It doesn't have to be Europe or bust. It was before. We were under so much pressure, but if we want to be the club where if we don't get into Europe and they want to move on, they go with our blessing and we buy better. You know, that's the club we want to be. We don't want to be hamstrung by the whims and fancies of players who think the grass is greener on the other side. You know, we want to be that club where you can use us as a stepping stone if you want, but you're going to be hopefully you're going to be looking back in a few years and going, what if I stayed?
And as part of that is you want to be signing people for 20, 30 million and they're leaving for 60, 70.
There you go. It's, you know, Villa they're a big club, but in terms of the cash flow, they've got brilliant owners who will back them at every chance. But in terms of the cash flow, you don't have the same opportunities. You can't, you know, look at the elite midfielder you lost to Real Madrid a decade ago and go, right, we'll give him 300 grand for, you know, a jolly, you know, for 2 years. You can't, if you're Aston Villa, you can't do that. You got to think smarter. You got to make sacrifices in the transfer window. You can't get everything you want. But if you're left there with Danny Ings and Leon Bailey and Emi Buendia, you can be very happy about what you've achieved.
I'm going to throw in a clip here when I was speaking to Ash about the kind of midfield debate, because I kind of said I don't really know how I think about the whole situation. This was only 12 hours ago, so I still don't know if I've got any more advanced thoughts. So I'll chuck that in here. I've sent out a few tweets this morning saying, on one hand, you've got fans going, Villa should be better than where they are. They spent 300 million in the last few years. And then they also go, but we need to spend more money because we haven't got enough. We still need 4 or 5 signings. And I can't quite kind of settle where I am on it all yet.
It's fair.
So, because I just feel like if Villa wanted a midfielder, they'd have signed one. So if they don't want one, they don't think we need one. But then all the fans are going, well, we do need a midfielder. We need a holding midfielder. We need some height. We need some strength. But that coaching setup and that scouting team are more than aware of what Villa's weaknesses are. And if they don't feel like we need a midfielder, then you kind of have to trust them. Then you see bids going in for Ward-Prowse, and he's not a defensive midfielder. He's not a big, strong, strapping DM, is he? So even if they were going for them, it's not the type of player we all think they need.
No.
So there's a lot of things have to line up to make a signing, like you said. People just go, we'll go and spend 40 million on Bissouma, but Brighton don't want to sell. He might not want to leave. He might not want to leave to Villa. Villa might not be interested in him. They might want to pay the wages. There's a lot of complications to a signing, and if a lot of those things don't fall into place, it doesn't happen. Obviously, something could come out of nowhere in the next hour or two, which is very, very unlikely, and all this looks stupid. But as it stands, there won't be anybody coming in. And I just don't know how I feel about it, because we've signed... People are going, oh, well, without a midfielder, bottom 6 this year, relegation battle, club's a shambles, Smith's clueless. And I'm thinking, I just don't agree with any of that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But and someone earlier in this said, this year we spent no money because we've got a positive net spend. But you're forgetting that we bought in 100 and we've spent the vast majority of that. It'd be zero money spent if we'd have bought in 100 and we'd spent nothing. We spent 90 odd million still. Spent 30 million on Ings, 30 million on Buendia, 30 million on Bailey, pretty much. Young's on decent wages, and Twanzebe will be a loan fee. So Villa have spent money, and we've yet to even see some of these players yet. Do you know what I mean? Like Bailey's played 20 minutes, and Danny Ings played 3 games. Buendia's played 2, I think, or 3. It hasn't looked fit. And people are saying, "Oh, bottom 6 this year." I just think we played 3 games. I understand it could be difficult, and I'm not just saying, let's have blind faith, because that gets you nowhere either. But one minute people are saying spend money, and the next are saying, well, don't forget the youngsters. And it blocks the development of those youngsters if you just keep spending money. And Villa aren't the club to go, we need to go and spend 40 million here on somebody. If we'd signed Morgan Sanson today for 15 million, people would go 10 out of 10 window.
Exactly, yeah, it'd be buzzing, wouldn't it?
And it's unfortunate for Villa that they signed him in January and we're yet to see him. Likewise with Bailey and Buendia, we got them in earlier. We've not seen the best of Buendia and we've not seen Bailey. It's not the club's fault that these players have got injured before we've got to see them. So if you're asking me, which you're not, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10 window. If Villa don't think we need a midfielder, I have to agree with what they say until I see otherwise.
Exactly.
If we're 18th at Christmas and we're losing the midfield battle in every single game, I'll say, why haven't Villa signed a midfielder? But for just right off the season, based on a transfer window, when we could win the next 3 games against the big boys, which I'm not saying is going to happen, but football was written that the big team beat the small team every single time. There'd be no point watching. So you've got to wait a little bit. I think there's got to be a bit of patience, because I don't see with the mad clamour to go, we need this, we need that, if the guys who run the football club don't think that, because they're far more qualified than the rest of us. I don't know what. I asked for your thoughts there, I just gave my own, so I'll let you take the floor.
You're a bit of a rant there, Dan. You're all right.
Yeah, something like that. It's late, mate. I want to go to bed.
It's not fantasy football, is it? You can't pick a player. I'll have him in my team. You're not playing fantasy football, so the midfield area, there's loads there at the moment, isn't there? McGinn, Ramsey, Douglas Luiz, Nakamba, Chuck Mawika. Obviously, Young played there the weekend, so there's lads in there. You can't stockpile players. You can't stockpile them. So these be trusting these midfield departments, and it's up to them to come good now. If they don't come good, they'll be out the door sooner rather than later, and then the fingers get pointed, don't they? So, but listen, I'm happy with the squad, how it's shaping up. I think Jacob Ramsey's emergence has probably shifted Villa's transfer strategy and policy, thinking he looked really good in that game against Newcastle. He's 20, he's coming on now. He's a big size now as well. I think he's back. I think they're back in the young lads, to be fair. Carney coming in as well for his start. I think they're going to give him opportunities. There's a bit of an experiment in that sense, a bit of a test for them. And if they come good, it's going to pay off, isn't it? So, yeah, like I say, I'm reserving judgment for now. It's 4 points from 9 from the start. The sign's there, and there's loads of players coming back, Bailey and co. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. The window itself, 8 out of 10, if not more, to be fair. The owners are back Smith to the tune of 100 million. I sold Grealish, replacing me 3. I've had experience with Ashley Young. Axel on loan's a quality deal. So, and the kids coming through. So, yeah, I like it. I like what they've done. The proof will be in the pudding, like it always is, Dan.
Yeah, exactly.
If they get to Chelsea and they get whacked, okay, and they get beat again, you're a bit unsure, but there's plenty there. There is Morgan Sanson getting back fit and firing. They're going to give up £15 million worth. He's been injured most of the time, and he's a Champions League pedigree. Morgan Sanson. Okay, he looked a bit rusty tonight, but that's 45 minutes in the tank for him, and he's a Champions League player. So get him involved as well, and it's got to come as well. It's a newish team as well. So it's got to be given time, and then Villa go on a run. I think always forgotten, and yeah, obviously fans always want more. That's what fans are for. That's what I'm saying as well. We always want more. Can we buy in? But I'm pretty content with the squad as it is, and I'll reserve judgments in next couple of games against the big boys. I think you'll find out a lot more then.
Yeah, you live and die by your decisions in the transfer market, and it is always seen as such an important part of kind of a club's growth. But the players we've bought, I feel like, exemplify that. If you were to, you're not going to add Calvin Phillips, which is probably the prototype of what you think Villa need. You're not going to, how much is Calvin Phillips going to cost above all? You had that chance a few years ago to maybe get him, but you opted for Nakamba and Douglas Luiz, two, as we've said, 2 players who can perform a job. And if you need that defensive midfielder, and I think that's a valid opinion, absolutely, we're all here for our footballing opinions and maybe our opinions on the transfer market, but we have absolutely no say or no control. We only have that opinion. And if Villa did need a defensive midfielder, and the jury's still out, because when you do sit someone down and ask and go, right, how does it work? It's a bit like, it's no solid idea. It's a theory of things. It's like, it might work like this, it might work like that. If you're so in between on a decision, can you, the £1 million drop, can you put all your money on it and, it work out? You need a midfielder that's got to essentially be a better ball progressor than Douglas Luiz and a better ball winner than Nakamba together. And they need to have a certain stature as well. I don't know if that player was immediately available to Aston Villa. And one, you need them also to fit in just as well in terms of personality, in terms of the person they are. If Villa weren't convinced about how, say, a Weston McKennie would fit in to Aston Villa, or even if he was the right type of player at all, why would you spend so much money and wages on that if you were actually genuinely unsure? Weston McKennie is an interesting one because obviously news brokers offered to Burnley. Tottenham were in for him. Villa interested for 2 years. He asked questions about Villa. Someone, what's it like? It's always been on the cards. But if you're offered to Burnley and they're not going for him above Villa and Tottenham, there's something up. Not necessarily that, in terms of your personality. He might be asking for wages that would blow away Villa's wage structure. He might be asking for more than Danny Ings for someone you don't know fits. You don't know, like, this person that you've held a graph up and said that he's brilliant fits it at Villa.
It's also, like you said earlier on, luck is a certain element here. If we'd have signed Morgan Sanson yesterday, people would have gone, yeah, that's a good window. We signed him back in January to try and get ahead of schedule, and he's played 200 minutes. That's bad luck.
Because it says, look, if you look on Wikipedia and go, Morgan Sanson has actually played 9 games. He hasn't played 9 games. He's played 290 minutes, which is about 3.2 games. He's been booked 3 times, so is essentially exactly what Villa needs. Someone who's just tearing around a pitch, pressing and laying in tackles. So, look, we have to wait and see. I'm not sure he'll be a saviour, but if you brought him in yesterday, exactly, and paid more for him, because he would have cost probably more if he'd had a different contract situation or it was at a different club, the type of player you needed, you'd have cost probably twice as much. And we got him at that time, and we now need to see what we have. We now need to go to our recruitment team with our needs, not our wants. We need to go in January, right, or next summer, this is what we actually lacked, not what we thought we lacked, what we genuinely actually lacked. Now go find it.
I had a couple of tweets yesterday talking about like net spend and stuff like that. You know, we're in a positive net spend for the first time. If Grealish hadn't have gone, does that mean we wouldn't have signed anyone? All these kind of things. Villa spent 300 million since they got promoted. Like, they should be better than mid-table already. But also, can we go and spend another 70 million on a few more players? We're still 5 players light. We're still 6 players light. And it's like, that's a lot to ask for in one transfer window. We've already signed 4 starters as is at the moment, with the young playing every game. People talk about the 300 million, but how much of that 300 million was spent on the first season just to build a squad?
Yeah.
After we got promoted and take away the loans that had to be bought, with Tara Mings in there, and Conte was bought that year as well, I think.
Yeah.
You know, how many of those are still with us? You know, Wesley's the biggest one, the club record signing, and he's out on loan. He's not even part of that spend anymore. So, well, my long-winded question basically is, how do you assess Villa's transfer recruitment over the last few years, and summarising it with how you assess it this window, to assess this transfer window and how we move forward from here?
I'm sure if you sat me down on Football Manager and gave me 300 million to spend across 3 years, I'd have had a Villa winning the title in FM21. But it's not real life, is it? It's a stupid game. Like, that's all it is. It's a game, and we think we are, with our knowledge that we get, or you know what we get through osmosis on Twitter and social media, and it goes into brain that we think that we might know better. Sometimes we do. Sometimes people do know better just off the street, and it happens. I think just an anecdote: the Cleveland Browns drafted a guy, so essentially your main buy on a deadline day, because a homeless guy outside said he's the one. You know, and they banked their future on that guy who turned out to be a waste of time. So sometimes people do think they know better off the street and get it wrong. Sometimes they do, and they get it right. But it's all theories in the silly game of football. We don't know. But what we do have to say is we've got a job. Our job is to cheer on the team, get behind them, analyse, dissect what goes wrong. We don't know what's going wrong at the moment. We kind of know stuff that we don't like or things that don't happen, but Villa have played one bad game out of 3. They played one all right game, then one game, and in the League Cup they were smashing against Barrow. But what can you take from that? Well, we don't know, and we can go on about net spend all you want. Nobody knows how much money Villa have spent on transfers and how long that is across, apart from the finance team and people are willing to dig into company's house. But there is people going on about net spend all the time. There's a significant amount of transfer debt accumulated by this club based on 3 transfer windows. Essentially, you could still be in a situation where you've bought Leon Bailey and you're still paying him off whilst you're still paying Tyrone Mings and Wesley and Douglas Luiz off. These things aren't just how you don't just rock up to Club Brugge with 20 million and go, give us Wesley. It doesn't happen like that. It's fantasy. There's so much things in terms of cash flow that need to be worked out and planned meticulously to not fall foul of certain things and not to put your club in a hole as well. It needs to be planned. It needs to be, you need to get the spreadsheets out and work it out. It's not just something that happens. And it's not like a simple exchange of goods at a shop. It's not your household bills. It's something more akin to economic spend. It's complicated and complex, and clubs have done themselves over with this type of stuff and taken on too much at one time. So got to have faith. Can't read into net spend too much, but what we can say is Villa have significantly spent a lot of money every summer to improve. So far, so good.
When do you start to judge from what you're seeing on the pitch? Because there's only so long. We'll say it's only 3 games, it's only 5 games, it's only 6 games. When do we start saying, no, this is what Villa are this season? Because the next 3 or 4 fixtures are tough. So is it 10 games where you start to say, this is where we are? Is it 15? Is it do you go as far as 20? Like, when do you start to say, right, this is what Villa are this season? We're in a relegation scrap, or we're in for Europe, or whatever it is?
I think 10, 15 games, and if Villa aren't showing anything, it's clearly a worry that no one will be sitting here going, "Oh, we'll be fine." It'll be bad if Villa aren't showing any kind of chance creation, any sign of winning a game. But the proof so far is they've been a bit middling, a bit sluggish, and I feel like these are things that can be fixed before, ideally before things get too bad. But got a good game against Chelsea coming up, a good kind of litmus test of where are we against, you know, this side that's gone in for the title. Can we break them down better than we did when they were just kind of focusing on Jack Grealish and limiting us that way? I want to see what we're doing against these sides. I mean, had 3 quick fixtures, barely a full squad between them. It's really, really hard to judge. That doesn't mean we can't or say things or analyse. It means our long-term kind of opinion shouldn't be too swayed by these things. I think 10, 15 games we'll know where we're at, and then in 17 games time we can plug holes to a good amount. I mean, there should be a decent amount of money to spend on fixing things if there's that much of a problem in January. So wait and see. We'll have a good time in between, hopefully.
I was about to end, but just so we're up to date with all the latest news, Villa have appointed a coach today. Aaron Danks joins as first-team coach from Anderlecht in Belgium, having previously worked at West Bromwich Albion's academy, as well as with England, where he was lead offensive specialist coach, helping the under-20s win the World Cup in 2017. That's from the Villa website.
It's another West Brom one, which is bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's I feel like my personal feeling on that is I feel a bit bad about that, because I know I'm speaking outside of a Villa fan, but I want all our Midlands clubs to be strong and have an impact. Maybe not one. Like, leave them out. But I feel like the West Midlands has so much more to give for football than it is. I mean, you know, the only impact we've had is Wolves were good for a bit, and Leicester won the title. But you know, where's your Forest? Where's Blues? Backies are bouncing up and down, losing everything to Villa. So Villa have to, you know, do good by these clubs they've essentially kind of looked at and taken bits from in terms of the academy. Aaron Danks, I feel like, is a progressive coach. Someone who was with the FA setup a lot, and I feel like a lot of that FA setup is at a club that's really impressive, Brighton. Dan Ashworth, I think, is in a big role at Brighton now. So I feel like the FA, you know, especially on people have their thing about Southgate, but with how the national team has improved and the vibe about it, not just in terms of their manager, but the coaching staff and their setup and how that bleeds down. I feel like it's a very impressive appointment. It's a progressive coach who's had the right ideas. Anderlecht, you know, FA, West Brom. It's kind of like a good CV to have had for a coach in 2022, 2021 even. I wouldn't be able to argue with that, to be honest. We've got to see what he can do, though.
Yeah, it all sounds promising, what Villa are building. I think we just need a bit of patience to see what they put together on the pitch. We'll call it a day there for today's podcast. James, thank you very much for your time, as always, and thanks to Ash for filling in last night and interweaving into this episode as well. Leave a comment below this video with how you rate the transfer window out of 10, maybe. Give us a score for how Villa have done. I think we're taking a little break now with the international weekend, and we'll be back for a Chelsea preview probably in about a week's time on Thursday or Friday, and then it's back to reacting to games. I think it's on TV, isn't it, Chelsea? So we'll probably do one after the Chelsea game on the evening. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We do appreciate it as always. And up the Villa. Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.